Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell have been sharing the silver screen and a life together for many a year now.
Goldie. And I said, oh, I'm not changing.
For decades, Goldie Hawn has been one of Hollywood's brightest lights, a symbol of joy, laughter, and resilience. From her breakout role on Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In to her unforgettable performances in classics like Private Benjamin and Overboard, she's built a career on her unique ability to blend comedy with heart. Off-screen, her partnership with Kurt Russell has become one of Hollywood's rare love stories, standing strong for over 4 decades. Together, they've raised a family, inspired millions, and seemed untouchable by the hardships that so often plague the lives of celebrities. But behind the golden smile and endless energy, a heartbreaking reality has emerged. At 78, Goldie received a diagnosis that shook her entire family to its core. The news left her husband, Kurt Russell, in tears, a moment so raw and emotional that even those closest to them struggled to find the right words. For a couple that has shared nearly everything together, laughter, triumphs, and even the challenges of raising a blended family, this was the kind of battle they never imagined facing. The revelation didn't just affect Kurt. It sent ripples through their children, including Kate Hudson, who has long credited her mother as both a role model and a best friend. Fans around the world, who had always looked at Goldie as a symbol of lightheartedness and hope, were devastated to learn that behind closed doors, she was now facing one of life's toughest trials. What exactly happened to Goldie Hawn? How did Kurt Russell react when he first heard the news? And what does this mean for the woman who has spent her entire life making the world laugh? Goldie Hawn's story begins long before Hollywood knew her name. Born in Washington, D.C. in 1945, she was raised in a middle-class family where her love for the arts blossomed early. She trained as a dancer and even taught ballet before making her way to acting. It was this mix of grace and charisma that would soon captivate audiences across the country. By the late 1960s, she became a household name thanks to her bubbly, free-spirited appearances on Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In. With her infectious giggle and wide-eyed expressions, she quickly became America's sweetheart. Her transition into film was seamless. Roles in comedies and dramas showcased her versatility, and in 1980, she cemented her status as a serious actress with her Oscar-nominated performance in Private Benjamin. Over the decades, she delivered hit after hit, from Shampoo and Death Becomes Her to the beloved romantic comedy Overboard. Audiences didn't just watch her films, they felt connected to her spirit. Goldie had a unique ability to make people laugh while also revealing vulnerability, a balance that made her unforgettable. But behind the glitz and glamour, Goldie's personal life became just as celebrated. In 1983, while filming Swing Shift, she met actor Kurt Russell. What began as a working relationship quickly turned into something far more meaningful. Unlike many Hollywood romances that burned bright and faded fast, Goldie and Kurt's bond deepened over time. They chose never to marry, believing their love didn't need legal validation. Their partnership endured more than 40 years, making them one of the most admired couples in the entertainment industry. Together, they blended their families seamlessly. Goldie's children from her previous marriage, Oliver and Kate Hudson, came to see Kurt as a father figure, while Kurt's son, Boston, became part of their tight-knit circle. Later, the couple welcomed their son, Wyatt Russell, who followed in his parents' footsteps as an actor. For decades, the family represented a rarity in Hollywood: stability, devotion, and unity. Goldie and Kurt weren't just partners at home. They became symbols of resilience in an industry known for fleeting relationships. Interviews with both of them over the years reveal a love built on laughter, trust, and mutual respect. They weathered challenges privately, supporting one another through career ups and downs while choosing to focus on what truly mattered: family. It's no wonder fans often looked at them as proof that true love could exist in Hollywood. Goldie herself once said in an interview, "A lasting relationship isn't about the wedding or the rings. It's about showing up for each other, every single day." And that's exactly what she and Kurt did. This powerful love story made the recent news of Goldie's diagnosis all the more devastating. For a couple who had shared decades of joy, the reality of facing a life-altering health challenge together felt like a cruel twist of fate. The woman who had always been the source of laughter in millions of households was suddenly the one in need of comfort. And Kurt, the man who had stood by her for 40 years, was left struggling to hold back tears. As fans reflected on Goldie's incredible career and her long-standing relationship with Kurt, the heartbreaking question lingered: how would this diagnosis affect not only her health, but the unshakable love story that had inspired so many? For much of her life, Goldie Hawn seemed unstoppable. Even into her 70s, she radiated the same charm, energy, and light that made her famous in the 1960s. She remained active in both her career and philanthropy, often appearing alongside Kurt Russell at red carpet events and championing causes close to her heart, including the Mind UP program she founded to promote children's mental health. To many, she appeared ageless, almost immune to the struggles that come with time. But those closest to her began noticing subtle changes. At first, it was small lapses, moments of fatigue, forgetting minor details, or a noticeable slowing down during events. Family members brushed it off as the natural effects of aging, but Goldie herself felt something deeper was happening. Known for her honesty, she confided in Kurt, who encouraged her to seek medical advice. After a series of consultations and tests, the diagnosis came, a revelation that would forever change the lives of Goldie and her family. While the details of her condition were not immediately made public, those closest to her revealed that the news was both shocking and deeply painful. Goldie, the eternal optimist, listened carefully as doctors explained her situation. When she looked over at Kurt, she saw tears streaming down his face. For a man known for his strength, Kurt's reaction said it all. He had stood beside Goldie through every stage of their life together, raising children, navigating Hollywood, and celebrating milestones. But this was something he couldn't fix with love alone. He later admitted to friends that watching the woman he adored receive such difficult news was one of the hardest moments of his life. Kate Hudson, Goldie's daughter, was among the first to speak openly about the family's grief. She described her mother as the glue that holds us together, and the thought of losing her strength was almost unbearable. Oliver Hudson echoed these sentiments, adding that their mother's unwavering positivity had always been their guiding light. Now, the family felt an urgent need to rally around her, to give back the same strength she had shown them for so many years. For Goldie, the diagnosis was not something to hide behind closed doors. True to her nature, she faced it with grace and resilience, reassuring her loved ones even as they worried for her. She told them that life was meant to be lived fully, regardless of its challenges. "We don't get to choose the cards we're dealt," she reportedly said, "but we do get to choose how we play them." Still, for Kurt, the reality hit especially hard. Friends revealed that he spent nights awake, reflecting on their decades together, struggling with the thought of a future where Goldie might not be by his side. He called her his soulmate, his partner, and his best friend, and the idea of losing her was something he could barely bring himself to voice. In public, Kurt remained composed, holding Goldie's hand tightly during appearances and quietly supporting her as she faced the difficult road ahead. But behind closed doors, he allowed himself to grieve, often breaking down in private moments. It was a reminder that even the strongest love stories are not immune to the trials of life. Goldie's diagnosis was more than a medical challenge. It was a turning point for her family. It forced them to confront the fragility of life and the reality that even the brightest stars eventually dim. For fans, the news was heartbreaking. But for Kurt, it was personal. The woman he had adored for more than 4 decades now needed him in a way she never had before. When the diagnosis became known within the Hawn-Russell family, it was not simply a personal blow. It was a moment that reshaped the way they looked at life. For decades, Goldie had been the nucleus of their blended family, the one who made even the hardest moments lighter with her warmth and humor. Now, it was the family's turn to surround her with the strength she had always given them. Kate Hudson, in particular, took the news to heart. Having followed in her mother's footsteps with her own successful acting career, Kate had always seen Goldie as more than just a parent. She often described her as her anchor and best friend. Kate admitted in an interview that she struggled to imagine a world where her mother was fragile. Seeing Goldie face health challenges was devastating, but Kate quickly decided she wouldn't let her grief overshadow her mother's resilience. Instead, she became one of Goldie's fiercest supporters, checking in daily, managing her schedule when needed, and keeping her spirits high. Oliver Hudson, Goldie's eldest son, echoed this dedication. Known for his close relationship with both Goldie and Kurt, Oliver stepped up as a steady presence in his mother's life. He made sure his children spent as much time with their grandmother as possible, understanding how deeply family moments mattered to her. "Mom has always reminded us that life is about connection," Oliver once said. "Now we're making sure she feels that same connection more than ever." Wyatt Russell, Goldie and Kurt's youngest son, also found the news difficult to process. As the child who grew up most immersed in their long-term partnership, Wyatt had always seen his parents as a force of nature. Seeing them vulnerable, especially Kurt breaking down in private moments, was both shocking and heartbreaking. Still, Wyatt leaned on the values his parents instilled in him: resilience, loyalty, and love, and made it a priority to be by his mother's side as much as possible. Even beyond her immediate children, the extended family came together. Goldie's grandchildren filled her home with laughter and joy, offering her the kind of comfort only children can bring. For Goldie, their presence was a blessing. She cherished every moment with them, recognizing that the simple joys of family life were more important than any accolade or film role she had ever received. Kurt, though shaken, tried to keep the household atmosphere light for Goldie's sake. He cracked jokes, revisited old memories, and reminded her of the countless adventures they'd shared together. Friends close to the couple noted that Goldie still managed to laugh, even in the face of her illness. "That's who she is," one family friend said. "She makes everyone else feel okay, even when she's the one suffering." The family also leaned heavily on Goldie's belief in mindfulness and positivity. For years, she had advocated meditation, gratitude practices, and focusing on the present moment. Now, those lessons became the foundation of how her loved ones supported her. Kate and Oliver often joined her for meditation sessions, while Kurt embraced the routines that gave her peace. Outside their circle, fans began sending an outpouring of support. Letters, social media messages, and tributes poured in, reminding Goldie of just how many lives she had touched. For her children, this global response was both comforting and overwhelming. It reinforced the idea that their mother wasn't just theirs, but a beloved figure to millions. In private, the family acknowledged the uncertainty of the road ahead. Yet they made a conscious choice to focus not on what might be lost, but on the precious time they still had together. For Goldie, it was proof of the legacy she had built, not just in Hollywood, but in the hearts of her children, her grandchildren, and the partner who had stood by her side for more than 40 years. As word of Goldie Hawn's diagnosis spread, it quickly became more than a private family matter. It became a story that resonated with millions around the world. Fans who had grown up watching her on Laugh-In, cried with her in Private Benjamin, or laughed alongside her in Overboard felt a collective heartbreak. Social media filled with tributes, clips from her films, and messages of support. For many, Goldie wasn't just an actress. She was a symbol of joy, lightness, and resilience during their own hardest times. But while the public grieved, Goldie herself chose a different approach. She refused to let her illness define her. In interviews, she acknowledged the difficulty of facing such a challenge, but emphasized gratitude and perspective. "Life is never without struggle," she once said, "but struggle teaches us to love harder, to laugh louder, and to appreciate every single moment." Her words became a source of comfort, not just for her family, but for fans who saw her courage as a lesson in itself. Kurt Russell, though shaken, mirrored Goldie's resilience. Even as he struggled privately with the fear of losing his partner, he supported her publicly with unwavering devotion. The sight of the two holding hands at recent events reminded the world of the extraordinary love story they had built together. In many ways, their relationship became the heart of this story, proof that love can endure even the most painful trials. Her children also spoke about how Goldie's strength inspired them. Kate Hudson, known for her openness, shared on social media that her mother had taught her to face life's storms with humor and grace. "She's still teaching me," Kate wrote. "Even now, when it's so hard, she reminds us that life is meant to be lived, not feared." This attitude didn't just reassure her family, it also reshaped how the public viewed her. Rather than being defined by her diagnosis, Goldie was seen as a fighter who refused to surrender her joy. Communities rallied around her Mind Up Foundation, making donations and spreading awareness in her honor. Teachers and parents sent letters saying how much her advocacy for children's well-being had impacted their lives. For Hollywood, Goldie's illness served as a reminder of the fragility of its icons. Co-stars, directors, and friends shared memories of working with her. Many highlighted her ability to light up a set, to make even the longest days feel brighter with her presence. The tributes painted a picture of a woman who had not only entertained millions, but had also touched lives with kindness and generosity behind the scenes. In private, her family acknowledged that the road ahead would not be easy. They braced themselves for uncertainty while cherishing every small victory. A family dinner, a walk in the garden, or even just laughter over an old story became moments of profound meaning. For Kurt, each day spent with Goldie was a gift. Friends said he often repeated the same phrase, "She gave me the best years of my life. Now it's my turn to be there for her." Ultimately, Goldie Hawn's story is not just one of heartbreak, it is also one of resilience, love, and legacy. Her diagnosis may have brought tears to her husband's eyes and sorrow to her family, but it also reminded the world of the extraordinary life she has lived. Through her films, her activism, and her family, Goldie has left an indelible mark, and perhaps the most important message she leaves us with is this: even in the face of tragedy, life is still worth celebrating. Goldie Hawn continues to shine, not just as an actress, but as a reminder of the enduring power of love, laughter, and hope.